Hey everybody, and welcome to another RCT2 review. We are continuing our head-to-head 10 review series as we roll into the postseason. There are two sets of semifinals parks, and this is the first one of those and the first park in that semifinal. This is Gardens of Light by the Dambusters. This was built 50% by Hoobaroo, 35% by Alex, and 15% by Andrew. So right off the bat, you can see that this is kind of a very different park. If you've been kind of following some of these other reviews so far, you might recognize this style as being fairly consistent with what you might see from Hoobaroo. Alex and Andrew are typically more realistic builders, so it's sort of an interesting dichotomy there to see them kind of take on something like this. I understand this park was put together very, very quickly to meet the deadline, and it's got some really kind of interesting fantastical type elements. So I think right off the bat, this iridescent type color scheme is really, really interesting. Like, look at this loop here where we kind of transition from these whites and greens to these yellows and purples and pinks as it goes around. So it's a really kind of a neat look for that. It's definitely a break from very traditional park building styles and a lot of what we've seen in head-to-head for sure. But it's got a really kind of interesting vibe to it. So you have to come into it definitely with an open mind as far as, get what you want out of it. This is definitely one of those instances of RCT as an art piece, and more of that, avant-garde type art piece rather than a just very nicely crafted, say, realistic park, for example. But right off the bat, we've got this really, really beautiful kind of white void type area with some really nice architecture, and then three very distinct structures, or not structures, but areas around it. But let's start in the middle here. We've got these two great launch coasters. So this is Evolution on the one side, and this is Blueprint on the other. Alex did these launch coasters, I believe, and they've got this kind of cheetah hunt style tower up on this side, and then a bunch of these kind of really interesting twists and turns. Of course, it would be the Giga Coaster because it's got the new pieces. Like we've said so far, it's kind of either been the Giga Coaster or the RMC this go around, which is fine, I think, because why wouldn't you build with the most available pieces, for sure. Here we go out to the launch, and we've got a nice kind of dueling aspect to this. I'm gonna rotate here so we can see the tower here, this little cheetah hunt style tower. Split in half here, and then come back to the middle. And I really like this dueling element here, where one's got the loop and then the other one's got this implement element, so they get back going in the same direction. So it's kind of a neat way to reverse the one when you're doing a dueling coaster. So cool strategy there. This is neat too, with this implement here bisecting this batwing element. So we've got a little bit of dueling back and forth here as it goes, and now we're going to trade off here where purple gets the loop and white gets the implement, and then they're going to wrap up here with the diagonal breaks. It's really neat the way that they interacted through this whole space. Just the overall vibe of this is really interesting. There's this kind of theme of these holes throughout that we'll see a little further on. You got some just pretty cool stuff in here. Very, got the waterfalls here, these kind of like pipes and gears, this sort of weird sculptural type stuff throughout. Curved staircase, so check that off your bingo card. These great towers here with this kind of just like cloud void in the middle. Palette-wise, they've replaced the black void with the white void, so that really helps blend this out kind of to nothingness as it goes along. So it's kind of interesting to see. Here's more of those holes here with the different gravestones and everything. But let's look into this first of the three different areas outside of the main space. We got this kind of Pueblo Southwest US type theme with a great little power coaster here called Frontier. It's kind of interesting too because the coasters themselves are fairly realistic within this map that's very kind of off the wall, very heavily fantasy type thing. But this coaster is actually really nice. You don't see a lot of powered coasters in the game, in my opinion, and it is kind of a limited ride type to build with, but big fan of this layout. And also this architecture is a very nice vibe to it, and I kind of like how the white void comes in here with these kind of various little kind of leave outs, almost like this whole space is materializing, and some sections just maybe haven't loaded in yet, for example. The creators of this have said very much that this map is what you make of it. It's not necessarily meant to be a certain particular thing. So, as with many art pieces, this is up to interpretation of kind of what you want this to be. Monorail is cool. I love monorail going around. This little station here was kind of neat. It's on the curve, which I thought was fun. It kind of has a, I don't know, very World's Fair Pavilion vibe to me on that one. But we continue over to this side where we've got this kind of Italian palazzo thing going on here with this great little building here with a couple of different sections and this kind of outbuilding next to this waterfall that goes off into nothingness. You can see this kind of grid pattern that fades off into nothing as well with these sort of, you know, laser looking lines coming through here. You've got them in a couple other spots like up here as well. So another one of those themes that kind of carries through the whole of the space. Love this little garden and just kind of very peaceful little water space. You get the swimmers right here, which is kind of fun. And on the other side, you've got a really nice garden with this maze throughout. Love the cliffs here and just this really beautiful density of foliage that just kind of extends off into nothing as it fades away. And then the stairs up here from this side too. It fades out, of course. You know, you can see this part of that building that is definitely in the kind of not loaded section, if we're going to go with that that kind of idea. And this bridge is really neat, where it kind of just fades out into nothingness as it comes along. So that's very cool to me. We get a log flume here using the splash boats style track, so we get the larger track. Kind of an interesting choice here with the custom supports for the Intamin drop towers. Kind of an interesting take on that one. Kind of an odd mix of stuff. I kind of saw that as more kind of a realistic touch here on a fantasy map, as we've been saying. This is cool though. I like this little circular hedge space using those new hedge pieces as well, and the way that this pathway kind of carries through with this checkerboard look all the way around the whole space. And we saw it on this side too. That's also, I mentioned this this pavilion type thing here kind of has that, I don't know, World's Fair type vibe to it. Just this whole area has a really nice pathway network and little curves and leave outs for landscaping, and then leave outs for these little holes and all this kind of other stuff. So it just has a really nice look to it. I did miss talking about the coaster station itself. Very nice use of the single rail track for structure. Kind of has this almost cathedral look vibe to it with this kind of central arch and these buttresses on either side, with these kind of two towers with this sort of I don't know, ethereal mist of some kind going up into the aura. And we've got these two towers matching on this side too, so kind of a neat bridge across to the other thing. As we spin around, we get to what for me is my favorite part of the map, and I'm always a fan of Asian architecture just in general. But love a good Asian architecture. You can see, Stu, the kind of leave outs here with these sections that haven't quite loaded in, and we've got this really beautiful ginkgo tree that towers behind this pagoda. Really screens and hides this whole giant tower for the coaster. This vibe I just absolutely love, with the handymen down here that are sweeping up all the leaves that are coming down. You can see a little bit of the floating leaves, this little miniature golf course underneath. This atmosphere, like if I just take this little snapshot right here, this is some of my favorite atmosphere in the entire game. Just super well crafted, absolutely beautiful. Really nice work in this one. Pagodas are great. Love the architecture too. The purple roof is a really great choice. Color is a pretty interesting theme throughout this whole map, and it all works really well together, since I think you could probably say the absence of color is sort of the main deal with this whole thing, where you've got all this white and gray, and really it's just kind of shaded white, for example. But the colors do a really nice job kind of tying all these different areas together, really making them pop out and stand out, in my opinion. As we get in a little closer to this, we've got a couple other just really nice buildings here. Another waterfall on this side coming down, docks out on the side. I love this dock here that kind of fades out into nothingness and has these kind of just really cool, just off into the abyss with a couple of these little holes and these fish that are swimming through and everything. So it's this really kind of almost dreamlike state where you see this area that's kind of a thing that's built, kind of fading off into nothingness as it goes along. Same with this waterfall that kind of goes into these floating blocks, other parts and pieces. You can spin around too and see the rest of this architecture throughout. Nice blue roof here for this one, different color purple here. Also bringing in those kind of neon strips and parts and pieces through the whole thing. The center tower has got some kind of neat stuff with it. We've got very much kind of ancient architecture vibes to it. Got these nice Roman type columns and things like that. I don't know, maybe more Renaissance than that, with the kind of detailed towers and everything. You've got these statues here that are rotating around. There's this giant ring that's also rotating around the whole thing. And again, we look at the main towers here that kind of fade up into the stratosphere. But really, on the whole, an interesting park. You know, definitely not my vibe because I'm not a builder of this kind, but I love these sorts of things just because I can't comprehend how I would ever build something like this, just because it's very different from the traditional that I'm more used to. And it's just fun to see, and fun to see how different objects are used and takes on kind of overall very different theming approaches. Kind of neat to me how all the supports, the touchdown, leave a little bit of that color behind, like the green here and purple here coming down. I like that little touch. It's to the thing. Would love to hear more from the creators about this. You know, for me, I appreciate those open to interpretation type themes, but at the same time, I also really love to hear from the creators, you know, down to the super detailed level, kind of what they were thinking and what the process was and all those sorts of things. So, you know, always interested to hear through that as well. But very neat. If you'd like to download this park, which you ought to, because it's a pretty cool look, and there's a lot of other little tiny details and just cool atmosphere that I didn't necessarily get to in this video, I'll post a link to the download in the description of this video. I will also post a link to Open RCT2. If you don't have that, you will need it. Free, you just add it on to your main RCT game or the triple thrill pack if you've got that. We will be back next time with the opposing park to this match, and that's a very interesting one as well, very much a departure from typical RCT, so stick around and check that one out, and definitely hit that like to follow the channel for all of those new notifications when I post a video. So until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye now.